So with that, let's bring in Florida Republican Congressman Michael Waltz, a National Guard colonel, former Green Beret commander who served in Afghanistan, and former counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Cheney. Congressman Waltz, good to have you with us as always. What was your reaction to that with regard to this chemical weapons decision and possible action by Russia?
Well, Martha, I think in this case, both can be true. I think the White House and frankly, the Pentagon are messaging this horribly. The United States, post-Cold War, has a long history. It's through an agency called the Cooperative Threat Reduction Agency of helping these countries basically disassemble and destroy biological and chemical weapons. I don't know for sure that that's the facility that's in question in Ukraine, but that can be there on the one hand and be true, and we've supported those efforts. On the other hand, Russia has a long history of using false flags. If you look in Syria, where they repeatedly would use minor chemical agents on their own forces or on Assad's forces, and then use that as a pretext to retaliate against the resistance with chemical weapons. This could also be setting the stage for those types of attacks, and I think that is a very real concern, particularly in the east and the Donbass, where Russia can use the separatist elements as proxies and keep a little bit of distance there in terms of what type of retaliation they then face and additional world condemnation. So, again, both can be true in this case.
I want to play an exchange that happened this afternoon between reporter and Jen Psaki about what the response would be to a chemical weapons attack by Russia in Ukraine. Watch this.
I just want to be totally clear. Are you saying if Russia does conduct a chemical weapons attack in Ukraine, there will not be a military response from the United States?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. What we're saying right now is they have the capacity and the capabilities. I'm also not going to get into intelligence. But the president's intention of sending U.S. military to fight in Ukraine against Russia has not changed.
What do you think about that response, Congressman?
Look, I think the messaging and the message that we're sending Putin is not only wrong, it could be provocative. This White House is so afraid of provoking Putin. That's why they didn't give Stingers early on. That's why they didn't give anti-ship missiles early on that could have been used for deterrent. I think Attorney General Barr is absolutely right. The time to give the MiGs was then. Putin is living rent-free in this administration's head. He's actually deterring us. The message coming from the White House, coming from the president, the commander-in-chief himself, would be, don't you dare. There will be a catastrophic response if you go to weapons of mass destruction. It could mean the end of your hold on power, Putin. That's the type of strength of message we need to be seeing, and that's how peace is maintained, through strength and through effective deterrence. Instead, we're not going to get into hypotheticals. These wishy-washy answers may lead Putin to think he can get away with it.
Yeah, the same has been asked about the nuclear option, and that our answer has not been, we will respond obviously with nuclear weapons if you use nuclear weapons. That's the whole idea behind these two superpowers having them, so that they never get used, right?
Yeah, but Martha, it's built into Soviet-Russian doctrine. They believe they can use small, low-yield nuclear weapons because we wouldn't dare respond with the big ones and initiate an all-out thermonuclear war. So because we won't respond that way, they bet in their doctrine they can get away with the small ones. And again, that's where our messaging has to be very clear on these red lines. And the world has to believe that Biden will back them up. Look, just in Syria alone, Russia got away with, according to the UN, deliberately bombing over 54 hospitals, 4 of them in one day. Those weren't accidental, indiscriminate shelling. That was part of their strategy. So he will continue to escalate. He will put everything he has on this, because I do believe his grip on power is dependent on a victory here. And we have to be very clear with the red lines in. We can't have the White House press spokeswoman saying, well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. Nuclear war, weapons of mass destruction, this type of indiscriminate killing of civilians isn't hypothetical, it's happening. And we need to be very clear about what the responses are, and we're not getting that, and it's dangerous.
Congressman Waltz, thank you very much. Good to have you here. We'll speak with you soon.
Okay.